Hello, everyone, and welcome to South Atlantic Wrestling. I'm Ted Webb. It's a pleasure to introduce my partner tonight at ringside, the one, the only, Gene Ligon.
Well, thank you, sir, Ted. I tell you, I'm excited about last week. I can't believe it.
I'll tell you what, we had some wild and woolly action that transpired here, and I'm still out of breath from it. I mean, you know, we talked about the stud stable, but I saw some other guys clear that ring, I mean, like quickly.
Well, they run when the action starts, it looks like. These guys talk a lot of big talk, but when it gets down to it, we know who ran.
Well, I tell you what, we've got a great program planned for you today. The Nasty Boys will be taking on the American Bulldogs. You'll see that one right here on television. That should be a wild, woolly one.
I can't wait to see that with American Bulldogs, rough and tough. They'll dish it out, believe me.
I'll tell you what, the promise has been lived up to. The stud stable did promise us that things were going to get out of hand, that they weren't going to go by the rules anymore. And I can tell you right now that based on what we saw...
Stud Stable, I guess it's about time we get in here and tell you something about Stud Stable. You know we formed the finest company in all the world. World Tag Team Champion, North American Champion. This is the meanest man in professional wrestling. The man lives right here to tear up people's bodies. What I'm out here for right now, and I want you boys to listen to us in the back. There's a hit list. There's a Stud Stable hit list. Ricky Steamboat, number 1. Paul Jones, you're strong for number 1. The Bulldogs, American Bulldogs. There's your number 3s right there. Travis, you're number 4.
I was wondering what was going to take to get Paul Jones out there, and I found out. We found out what it would take Paul Jones. And I'll tell you what, Paul Jones, you're a living legend, but you're looking at the stable right now. The stable is the 1990s, and we control it. So, Jones, I want you to know that you don't throw stones at people with machine guns. American Bulldogs, beware, because today you're going to eat fish, baby. You stupid redneck, shut up. The hell is something.
Let's turn it over to our ring announcer, Fabian Fuentes, for the action.
This section is Australian Tag Team action. Making their way to the ring, weighing 235 pounds from Manning, South Carolina. Here is Bo Reagan. His partner weighing 235 pounds from Ackworth, Georgia. Here is Ranger Ross. Their opponents, first of all, weighing in at 275 from Greensboro. Here is Dan Grundy. His partner weighing 228 pounds from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Here is Trent Knight.
Well, I tell you, one of the toughest parts of doing this job, Gene Ligon, is having to deal with guys like Robert Fuller and company. It is not a very pleasant thing for me to have to sit in the same arena with these guys, much less be surrounded by them and bathed in sweat and spit.
I can't believe, Ted, are you okay? I know they roughed you up a little bit over there, looks like.
I'll be honest with you. I'm not very thrilled about the encounter, and you can bet that I will file a formal complaint with President John Ringley.
I don't blame you one bit.
Ranger Ross and Bo Reagan will get it off against Dan Grundy and Trent Knight. Grundy in the ring against Bo Reagan. Nice leg dive takedown. Reagan's a great competitor. Great amateur background, Gene.
Well, he's got the right idea. Dan Grundy, a big man that he is, you've got to get him to the mat as quick as possible.
Grundy, a big, tough, rough customer.
Attacking the legs again, keeping a man on the mat.
Yeah, I guess if you chop those legs down, everybody's the same size.
Yeah, big, tall trees fall when you chop it down.
Your referee for this event, Byron Richard. He'll have his hands full. Ranger Ross, boy, is he happy. They gave him a tremendous outing in Ackworth, Georgia on the 4th of July. Honored him. The town showed up. Really a tremendous competitor.
It makes an American feel proud to know a man
yes,
like
he does. Yes, he does, because that's what it's all about.
That's right.
And as he says, there's a Ranger out there at this very moment paying for our freedom. Nice hip lock, but look what Bo Reagan does. Great leg dive takedown. Whoa!
course, Bo Reagan making a tag to Ranger Ross. He comes in, of course, not taking any advantage at all, is he?
No. I mean, one thing about the team is it's greased, it's groomed, and they're going after the same target, that left leg. Grundy right now is in a lot of pain, I'll tell you that.
They look mighty good as a team there. Both men working very fluid together. As you see, Ted, they keep going back to the leg, back to the leg. This is what's going to keep Dan Grundy on the mat.
Dan Grundy certainly has the height advantage, the weight advantage, but the speed and I think the natural ability has to be with Bo Reagan and Ranger Ross. Tag is made and Trent Knight's into the ring, into the corner. Byron Richard calls for the break. Look at the eyes. Look at the eyes on Ranger Ross.
Don't pull out that killer instinct.
Yeah.
Big mistake.
I'll tell you what, in a flat second, this guy can make you into a member of the obituary column.
That's right.
Mixes a combination of the martial arts as well as the Greco-Roman style, where he was all Army and undefeated.
Well, the Greco-Roman has a lot of upper body. That's the major thing in Greco-Roman. You have no leg work at all, but his upper body strength. Well, along with his karate and his martial arts, this man has got a package that's hard to beat.
Completely balanced. Whoa, double backdrop. Trent Knight. Trent Knight right now saying, wait a minute, Bo. How about a break for a young kid from the Steel City?
Well, Bo's getting on him as much as possible. Bo's been on the other end of this whole situation before, and he's knowing what it feels like.
Yes, sir. Bo Reagan is a guy that certainly his style has changed over the last couple of months. Spinning neck breaker, and Reagan is stunned. Whoa! That was a great maneuver by Trent Knight, who sometimes we don't give the proper credits to.
Well, that's a lot of quickness there. Of course, Trent's been around quite some time. And Bo Reagan, of course, has been around also. Both men are equally balanced in the ring.
Well, I'll tell you what, Reagan caught one square on the chin from Dan Grundy and then a full body slam. And while the referee is occupied with Ranger Ross, there's a little double teaming going on. Ted Webb and Gene Ligon, South Atlantic Wrestling.
Good high waist lift. 2 count.
Count of 2. Bo Reagan doesn't know which corner to go to. He's stunned, Gene. Bo trying to fire back, but those punches are lacking authority right now.
After you've been slammed to the mat a few times, you lose a lot of your power. There they are working double teaming the man. A good team, of course, all within the rules. The 5 count, of course, is involved. The 5 count has got to be broken before they can be disqualified. A good elbow. Down goes Bo Reagan. Bo firing back. Flying mare takes him over. Reverse chin lock. Good wrestling you're seeing here, ladies and gentlemen. This is good wrestling.
He's got that chin lock, and the referee checking to see if there is indeed a choke, and it doesn't appear. It appears to be a good chin lock.
Well, it's very close to being a choke. All you do is drop it down just a few inches over across the throat, but that's on the chin, cutting a lot of the blood off because a lot of pressure on the jaw.
Well, there's Byron Richard again cautioning Trent Knight about the use of the scraper. Ooh, backbreaker. Man, I'll tell you what, Bo Reagan shows me tonight he's got some true grit. This guy can take a licking and still keep on ticking.
A few years ago, Bo would have been out right now, but he's got that fighter instinct now.
Well, Trent Knight turned his back literally on Bo Reagan. Reagan making the tag with Ranger Ross. And Dan Grundy says, wait a minute, get Reagan back in there.
Here comes the caissons.
Yes, sir. Those caissons are rolling along. Off the rope, a nice elbow. Grundy takes the brunt of it right there at the vocal cords. Right there at that voice box. Straight drop kick. That's the way you give the drop kick.
Good and high, right on the chin.
Ranger Ross, a fan favorite, a true American hero. Leapfrog. Hooks the leg. 1, 2, 3. Goodbye, ring.
Cut out the lights. The party's over.
The caissons go rolling along. Ranger Ross and Bo Reagan, the winners of this opening match on South Atlantic Wrestling. Ted Webb and Gene Ligon together. Let's take a look at that slow motion instant replay. Gene, describe the action.
One of the most awesome kicks in professional wrestling. A reversal. He jumps over for a leapfrog, turns around, catches him right upside the head. Down. 1, 2, 3.
This one belongs to Ranger Ross and Bo Reagan. Don't go away. We got lots more on South Atlantic. Coming up next, Curtis Thompson.
This next next action is scheduled for one fall. Making his way to the ring right now, weighing in at 247 pounds from Charlotte, North Carolina, Curtis Thompson. His opponent weighing in at 235 pounds from Colombia, here is Butch Malone.
Butch may be looking for Sundance before the sun sets on this match.
You're telling me this young man, Curtis Thompson, has got the complete package. Just look at him. Is that not a wrestler? Is that not an athlete? That's dedication right there.
The self-proclaimed U.S. male. He is not short on cockiness and ability, Gene. He'll sit there and flat tell you he's good, he's pretty, and he knows it.
Well, I've always been told, don't believe everything you see in the mirror. And I tell you what, this guy is definitely sold on himself.
No doubt about it. He's got a very narcissistic nature about him, and I tell you, it's to his advantage. It is to his advantage.
If you could sell him for what he thinks he's worth and buy him for what he really is worth, oh, you'd have a good problem. Good athlete, though, don't take anything from him. He is an excellent wrestler. He doesn't need to take the shortcuts, but every week he takes a shortcut. He just
right away, starting off with referee Ron Hanna, but look who hooks him, Malone. And Curtis now saying, did you see what he did? Well, pay attention, Curtis.
That's right. That's a lesson to the kids out there. If you're a wrestler or you're a football player, you never take a man for granted. This guy, Butch Malone, may upset him.
He might. You got to keep your concentration. You've got to be focused on what's happening in front of you. And Curtis right now may be taking Butch Malone lightly, which could be a mistake.
Oh, big mistake, because I've seen teams come out and win championships they weren't supposed to.
Oh. Man, does that hurt.
Yeah, good hang of hair there. Down he goes.
I'll tell you what. He grabbed a handful of those tussles and just rammed his head into the canvas. Off the ropes, full body slam. Now, when Curtis Thompson body slams you, you feel it.
So easily. One knee on the mat as he picked him up and tossed him over.
Involved in bodybuilding, and what a job he's done. You can tell that Curtis takes his training seriously, Gene.
That is hours and hours of training. And he is just, if you knew how long it took to get yourself looking that way, you would know the respect you have to have for the man.
I do. I talked to him one day in the dressing room, and I complimented him on the body. And he says, well, every person who has a job has his tools. He says, a plumber has his wrenches, the carpenter has the hammer. He says, my job is a professional wrestler. This is my set of tools.
I'll tell you, a set of tools he's got, because this man right here, when he goes to work on you, he goes to work on you.
He certainly has the tools to be a champion. The only thing he may be lacking, my friend, is the concentration. Whoa. There you see that there's no lack of strength there in Curtis Thompson.
Caught that man flying in there like he was nothing.
South Atlantic Wrestling coming your way today. Ted Webb and Gene Leggett at ringside, and you'll be treated to a tremendous match coming up later on in the program. The North American Wrestling Association Tag Team Champion Nasty Boys are going to go toe-to-toe with the American Bulldogs right here on TV.
That ought to be a sight to see. I can't wait to see it. I've got my ringside seat right here, and I'm going to be watching. I hope I can just pay attention, because I'll be watching too much, not talking.
I just see Maniac Matt Bourne and Bob Orton Jr. in action. Colt Steele on the card. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Should be an interesting card today.
Well, last week, that Ricky the Dragon, he had to put up a fight and a half.
Well, I lost
Jones was there.
I lost my partner. Next thing I know, bolting from the ringside into the ring goes Paul Jones, and he cleared it out.
I want to tell you something. You don't mess with Paul Jones.
No, sir.
No, sir. If anybody's ever watched Paul Jones's career, that man, number one, Paul Jones, I remember very well.
I'll tell you what, he can go downtown, and he went downtown last week, cleared the ring, and saved perhaps a terrible injury to a young fellow by the name of Gary Booth, not to mention saving Ricky the Dragon Steamboat.
Well, you always say every dog has his day, and all those dogs were in there beating up on Ricky Steamboat, found out they had no teeth in their mouths.
Yes, sir.
They were barking, but no teeth.
Curtis Thompson really pretty much having his way with Butch Malone right now, and he's been working on that left shoulder. I was talking to John Studd, Big John Studd, who told me he suffered a bursal sac that erupted on him, and he's still paying for it to this day.
Oh, yeah, that's one injury. The shoulder, the back, that's two injuries in professional wrestling. Of course, the knees in every sport, but you need your shoulders and you need your back in professional wrestling.
If you don't have shoulders and backs in professional wrestling, you might as well do what I did and get back here at ringside and call the play-by-play or the color.
It's a lot safer. Some weeks it is.
Some weeks it is. I can tell you right now that the beginning of this program was not one of my safer moments.
Well, we'll have a word with him, Ted, and we'll get something done about that.
I am serious. I am planning on filing a formal complaint with John Ringling, the president of the South Atlantic Wrestling and North American Wrestling Association.
Apply that nice hammerlock, tightening up, working that shoulder over.
That's it.
He's calling for the bell right now.
That's it. Curtis Thompson has worked Butch Malone into a submission and continues to work on the shoulder. Let's look at that on the slow motion instant replay as we see exactly what kind of pressure is being put on that shoulder by Curtis Thompson. Call the play-by-play, Gino.
Well, as it comes on up here, we're going to see exactly the kind of pain a man can go through. That shoulder, the deltoid area, your latissimus dorsi, which is the back. All of it is connected together, holding the shoulder again. If you've ever dislocated a shoulder, you will understand completely why it's causing so much pain.
Don't go away. We've got a lot more coming up on South Atlantic Wrestling. It's alone, but when you get it into a cluster of 4, 5, 6, 7 of them, they can hurt you. And that's basically what happened last week on South Atlantic Wrestling when Ricky the Dragon Steamboat came to the rescue of Gary Booth, and all of a sudden the Piranhas were in the ring. Four wrestlers on one. Paul Jones, I got to tell you something. This man owes you an awful lot for what you did for Ricky the Dragon Steamboat last week.
Well, Ted, let me tell you something right now. I'm a man that has a lot of pride. I've done a lot of things that I wasn't proud of, but I came back to take my medicine. Now, last week, at the top of the show, when I was doing color with you, I took abuse. I could have punched one of them, even though there was 3 or 4 of them there. But I bowed out, just took the humiliation, laughed at me, did everything. I could take that because I have a self-image that I can handle it. But later on during the show, when I saw my friend that I stood behind for years, that stood behind me more important than I stood behind him. You know, it's finding a friend like Ricky Steamboat. It's not finding the right friend, it's being the right friend, what costs lasting friendship. Now, what happened in that ring last week, I couldn't take it anymore. If I'd have sat there with you and let them carry on with Ricky the way they were doing, I couldn't look myself in the mirror. Ricky, I'm your friend, and I'm here anytime you want me, anytime you need me. I don't want to wrestle, and I'm not getting back in the ring to wrestle. I'm getting back in the ring to fight. They don't want to go by the rules. I don't see why we should. You know something, ladies and gentlemen, if it wasn't for this guy right here, I wouldn't be standing up here. You know, you get the stud stable, and they get out here week in and weekend out, and they talk about how rough, and they talk about how tough they are, and they talk about all the championship belts that they got around their waist. But when they start ganging up against 4 against 1, it really shows how just big and tough you guys are. Well, let me tell you something. Paul Jones and I have signed an alliance. We have joined forces together, and if we ever meet Matt Bourne, if we ever meet the Dud, you're in for it.
We'll be right back.
This is tag team action, making their way to the ring. With a combined 550-pound weight, here are Spike and Rex, the American Bulldogs. Their opponents weighing in at 660 pounds. From New York City, here are Sags and Knobs, the Nasty Boys.
The Nasty Boys, the reigning North American Wrestling Association Tag Team Champions. And you've seen them week after week right here on South Atlantic Wrestling. And Gene, whether you like them or not, they're like the old Oakland Raiders in professional football. They have certainly found a way to win, and they continue to do it week after week after week after week.
The Sags Boys are here, whether we like it or not. They are definitely a good wrestling team. Their tactics I don't agree with. I know you don't either, Ted. But they have got a match tonight.
They are in the ring with two guys that I have to consider to be about the strongest guys that I've seen in professional wrestling in quite a while.
How do you bully a bulldog? Is what I want to know.
I'll tell you what, you better be careful when you try to handle one, because you talk about being nasty. Bulldogs can be pretty darn nasty.
You better believe it.
We'd like to say hi to John and his wife, Mrs. Stokes. They're watching us in Charlotte on WBT TV, Channel 3. John and Elaine Stokes are watching the program today.
Well, that's great, John and Elaine. I hope you're having a great time. By the way, this past week I was down out towards Sunset Beach, stayed with the Harris family. 150 Harrises. Wow. Unbelievable. Cousins, aunts, uncles, everything. Hello to Bill Linton and, of course, the one and only Bud.
I love it. Also, from Gaffney, South Carolina, the former All-Pro wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins and the San Francisco 49ers, Freddie Solomon, dropping us a line saying he loves South Atlantic wrestling.
I remember Freddie Solomon.
Well, if you'd like to drop us a line, if you watch the program, drop it to South Atlantic Pro Wrestling, P.O. Box 221-269, Charlotte, North Carolina, 28222-1269. Knobs in the ring against Spike. It's going to be kind of hard to distinguish which one of the Bulldogs is in the ring. These guys are close enough looking to be twin brothers, Gino.
That's right. They're both real tough guys. They don't ask any quarter, they don't give any, buddy.
Sir, well, we've got some action going right now. And it appears that the Nasty Boys are getting a little more than they bargained for. Oh, flying drop kick. Boom, here's to you, Nasty. We've got a little clearance sale going on right now.
I do believe the Nasty Boys have met intimidation.
They have met. Look at this. Not only are they fighting the Bulldogs, but keep a close eye on the fans. Oh, there we go.
They're doing what's called monkey drills right there, a little quickness drill showing them that go ahead, switch off back and forth. We can do it too.
I remember those monkey drills from football, Coach.
Unbelievable.
Our coach used to use them as punishment. These guys use it just to show what kind of shape they're in.
That's right. Sal Caridi trying to get control of them young men, those Nasty Boys. They don't watch it, they'll be counted out and disqualified.
Well, the Nasty Boys are certainly a candidate for the Nutrisystem Poster Child Contest.
I want to tell you something. A diet, I don't think they know the meaning of the word.
330 pounds apiece. They've taken advantage of that Domino's Pizza 30-minute delivery plan quite a few times.
I'll tell you what, but the quickness is unbelievable. I look at Knobs, I look at Sachs. They're so quick for 300-pound men. I'd love to have tackles like that or guards like that. Well, I'd like to have a quarterback like that.
The reason you're saying that is because these guys were outstanding football players in high school. I know that Sags was offered a contract to a college, and Knobs decided instead to go into the Army, and both were kicked out of their respective organizations and found each other roaming the streets of New York City, the Big Apple. And I'll tell you what, I would hate to cast one gigantic blanket over New York and say that every New Yorker's like that, because I know better. But this is not certainly a good representation of the Big Apple.
Well, this is probably the worst of the Big Apple right here. No reflection. I know a lot of New Yorkers are great people, but these two guys are definitely the sewer rats of New York.
Well, they're members of that stud stable, disciples of Robert Fuller, the North American Wrestling Association heavyweight champion. And you got to say, they've got something going for them. They have all of the belts.
That's right. They must be doing something right. It might not be right in my eyes or your eyes, but they are definitely winning.
Sal Carenti, the referee for this match, should receive some kind of combat pay, or at the very least, hazardous duty pay.
Well, last week, Robert Fuller, of course, tossed him right out in the ring like he was a sack of potatoes. Sal, of course, a heck of a little fighter himself. He don't take no mess. He disqualified him right on the spot.
Well, sir, you got to hand it to Sal. Double hip lock takedown, double elbow across the throat, and the Bulldogs are are trying to show the current champions that they're worthy of a title match.
Have you seen how the Bulldogs are working into better and better each week as a team? There they are, both coming in, both dropping elbows, both one of them getting out, the other one covering. Used to be they wouldn't cover, now they're covering.
Rex is in there for the Bulldogs against Sags. Tag has made. Knobs now coming into the ring. Nice arm drag takedown. That's textbook.
That's right. Take advantage of a situation. He was off balance, taking one step in. The arm was out there to balance him. He just pulled it and running over. Nice armbar.
Pressure being applied right now by virtue of that armbar. If you just tuned us on, I'm Ted Webb, my partner Gene Ligon. This is South Atlantic Wrestling, the best of the North American Wrestling Association. And as we say so many times, when you see that seal, you're assured of the finest in professional wrestling.
Yes, when you come to see North American Wrestling Association Wrestling, South Atlantic Wrestling, you're going to see wrestling, my friends.
Well, I'll tell you what. Those are four awesome individuals in that ring right now.
Four big men. Four big men who are definitely out to prove something.
Well, the Bulldogs are trying to prove that they're worthy of a title shot. And the Nasty Boys are trying to prove that they're not.
Of course, Sags taking advantage of the Bulldogs. Thought he had him pinned. That's the worst mistake you could ever make, is underestimate your opponent. Just didn't even bother to hook a leg or anything.
You know, I got to be honest with you. I take a look at the Nasty Boys, and I don't see much of a difference from their previous style before joining the stable. These guys were terrible. Double suplex. Double suplex, and in trouble right now is the one they call Rex. Powering out.
There's that bench press power right there. He just tossed 300 pounds off of him like it was nothing.
Now you can see that these guys are dedicated. They work. Nice reversal. Nice reversal. Knobs right now showing his frustration by being smarted out and rammed Spike's head into the turnbuckle. Tag has made Sags now into the ring.
Did you see the move, though, that he made? He went over and popped one of the Bulldogs, knowing that would draw him in, thus taking advantage of the other man.
They constantly use their head, Gene. They're smart.
They will sacrifice each other for a win. They're out here to win at any cost.
And it's paid off for them so far. Not that we endorse, not that we condone the methods. Whoa!
All right. Come on in there. Couple of good half clotheslines. It picks him up for a slam.
330 pounds picking him up like a sack of potatoes.
Now.
That, my friends, is Spike. Spike into the ring, the smaller of the two Bulldogs. All four men into the ring right now. I should say all three. One of the Bulldogs just took a little swan dive. That is Spike outside of the ring. And we've got a classic case of double teaming and a classic case of things going awry. Now the tables have turned. Whoa, 1, 2, 3.
There it is.
We have an upset. We have an upset. The American Bulldogs have pinned the North American Wrestling Association Tag Team Champion Nasty Boys. Gene, we've got to look at that maneuver one more time.
Unbelievable. There he is. He uses the ropes, whips him across for a flying body press, covers him, caught him off balance. 1, 2, 3. Sal makes the count. It's out of here.
This match belongs to the American Bulldogs. Don't go away because there's a lot more coming up on South Atlantic Wrestling. We're talking about two men with exemplary amateur backgrounds, guys that have a lot in common when it comes to getting into that ring and going for the gusto. We're talking about Bo Reagan and Ranger Ross. Guys, it's great to see you guys in action as a tag team.
Hey, thank you too. And with all these fans behind us, we feel right at home. First thing I want to say is the Nasty Boys had a hard road to get those titles. But I'm going to tell you something, it's going to be hot and heavy around here. It's going to be even harder for them to keep them.
Well, I'll tell you what, the level of competition increases weekly, Bo. You've seen it grow week after week after week. Ranger Ross, you just came on board a few weeks ago, and you've already seen the quality increase.
Well, you know, I'm not going to come out here and try to insult anybody intelligent. There's some very thick competition out here. I'm talking about the competition around here is thicker than bugs on a bumper. Now, I'm not going to try to insult anybody intelligent, tell them that me and Bo Reagan's going to have a walk in the park because it's too tough. Now, we got a lot of training. We got a lot of hard work ahead of us if we want to capture those tag team titles. Because you have to look at the fact, the Nasty Boys, they are nasty. I don't care how you look at it in any shape, form, or fashion. You got the stud stable. On any given day, you got multiple combinations there. Then you got the British Bulldogs. I could just go on for days.
Oh, you got the Royal Family. I mean,
you got the Royal Family. Now, those guys are very polished, and they've been at it for a while. They know every trick in the book. So me and Bo Reagan, we got to sit down. We got to watch films. We got to consult with each other back and forth. We got to talk to the veterans around here, find out the ins and outs of everybody. You got to know your enemy. It's just like when you're cold, wet, tired, and hungry, low on food, water, and ammo, the enemy's all around you. What better time to attack?
Hey, that's right. Like the man says, it's time to attack. We're going to get our hands on those straps one way or another. Nasties, we can wrestle with you, or we can fight with you. Either way it goes, me and this man here, we got all the confidence in the world. We're going to be the NAWA champions very soon.
Bo Reagan and Ranger Ross, thank you very much for joining us on South Atlantic Wrestling. The best of luck to you.
It's my pleasure.
True American hero, my friend. A guy that not only has made his mark in the ring, but a man that proved his worth as a true hero by fighting for America. Let's turn it to our ring announcer, Simon Fuentes.
This next section is Australian tag team action. To my right, weighing in at 240 pounds from Fort Walton Beach, Florida, here is Mike Servich. His partner, weighing in at 240 pounds from Fayetteville, here is Mike Kavanagh. Their opponents, first weighing in at 240 pounds from Dallas, the Maniac Matt Bourne. His partner, weighing 250 pounds from Kansas City, the Cowboy Bob Orton.
Well, Gino, I don't have to tell you about the combination of Orton and Matt Bourne. We've seen them in action several times. Two men that aspire to the same beliefs, and that is to hurt people. Two guys that are not necessarily in there just to win a match, but they're in there to maim and hurt.
They're out to send a message out to everybody that they wrestle against and wrestle guys back in the dressing room. When you see Matt Bourne out there, you're not just going to see a technician, which he is. You're not just going to see a rough and tough wrestler, which he is. You're going to see a man go out there, and if he can hurt somebody, he'll do it.
Well, they're wrestling Mike Squared tonight. Mike Kavanagh and Mike Servich. Servich into the ring right now, collar and elbow with a Maniac. Your referee for this event, Byron Richard. Into the ropes, calling for the break is Richard. And a relatively clean break, perhaps a little intimidation from Matt Bourne. Matt Bourne does look like a maniac.
He's nuts.
He is, I tell you, this guy is perhaps a signature away from being committed.
Well, I got a pen in hand.
You know of anybody who's well-versed in the Baker Act, we might be able to get him out of here tonight, I'll tell you. I'd like to see him convince the court that he's not nuts.
That would be hard to do. It's like telling the Planters Peanuts people that, oh, these aren't nuts.
Yeah. Whoa. Solid shot to the midsection, two of them, three of them. Bourne is testing that midsection, and Servich has a great one, but I'll tell you what. I think that Servich right now, Servich may have broken his nose on this. He caught one square across the face. 260-some-odd pounds of Matt Bourne.
Well, Matt Bourne knows how to apply holds. As you see, he's got a good hammer lock right there. He's an intimidating man, just raking his head, pulling on the hair a little bit.
There you see Orton wanting to make the tag. Orton wanting a little bit of this. As you know, Orton has been away on an Oriental wrestling tour, a successful one we might add. And this is his first action back at South Atlantic Wrestling, and he wants to get in there. You'll see he's trying to make the tag.
Well, Bob will get in there and probably want to show some new things he learned in Japan.
Yeah, every time he comes back from the Orient, we see one or two things that are more impressive. Wow. Great maneuver by Matt Bourne.
He hooked that arm. He was what's called a wizard. He wizarded him down to the mat, and that will take a shoulder out real fast.
Well, Orton right now is standing on top of the ring apron, wanting to make the tag. And we picked him up. He's been yelling at Matt. Come in, Matt. Matt so far has been ignoring him.
A lot of egos in this business, and of course Matt Bourne's got an advantage right now. Bob Orton Jr.'s been out of town. Matt doesn't want to tag him. He'll tag him when he feels like it, I guess.
Well, he's applying the pressure right now, Servich is. Servich a good-looking wrestler. We've seen him several times before, Jay. Here's a kid that's got some promise. Somewhere down the line, this kid's going to blossom into a good one.
That's right. Excellent looking athlete. He's put together like, gosh, you would know what. A bodybuilder and a half, but he's got power. He's got ability.
Kavnar into the ring, making the tag. Matt Bourne, the maniac, firing that elbow. Both men are basically holding hands and exchanging elbows, and right now, Matt Bourne, wow. That one could have gone 40 yards had it been a field goal. There's the tag made against Surovich into the ring. And Matt Bourne, no, I'm surprised, to be honest with you, that Matt Bourne hasn't made a greater effort to get into his corner and tag with a fresh Bob Orton. He's nuts. Wow. Surovich not walked, but ran it. Look at that. Look at that. Orton is begging to make the tag. Orton wants to make the tag. This is when Orton wants to go into the ring, when the guy's already hurt. That's right. Bourne's just ignoring him. Bourne is applying a tremendous amount of pressure on that elbow, and there's the bell. There's the bell. That shoulder was hurt. Maniac Matt Bourne wins the match, and there are their hands raised in victory. We didn't get a chance to see Bob Orton Jr. We did not get a chance. Do you suppose that perhaps, I don't know what to make of this.
I'll tell you something. I know how Bob Orton Jr. is, and he likes to get in and earn his paycheck just like anybody else does.
He stayed in the ring. The maniac left, and Orton Jr. is still in the ring.
There's something going on here.
I don't understand that. Maybe he thought that Orton was out of shape or something. I don't know, but that's the first time I've ever seen that happen. Don't go away. A lot more coming up. Colt Steele up next on the South Atlantic Wrestling. Interested in sponsoring a South Atlantic Wrestling event as a fundraising project is invited to contact South Atlantic Pro Wrestling. P.O. Box 221-269, Charlotte, North Carolina 28222. Or you can call us at area code 704-334-1007. There are several choice fall dates still available. Call now. That number, area code 704-334-1007.
This next action is scheduled for one fall. To my right, weighing 245 pounds from Columbus, Georgia, here is Thomas St. John. His opponent, weighing 245 pounds from Venice Beach, California, Colt Steele.
Well, they don't love him here in the Carolinas anymore. Here's a guy that was formerly from Rayford, North Carolina, and then moved his place of residence to California. Venice Beach, California. He is taken to the attire as well as the dialect of the California beach bum.
Well, he's trying real hard, but Venice Beach, California just isn't Venice Beach, California.
Doesn't make the grade. Thomas St. John, a well-built individual. We've seen him in action before. Colt Steele, a tremendous power lifter, former Carolina champion, still listed as one of the top power lifters in America, and a guy that was an outstanding linebacker when he played college football.
Well, these two men definitely have been paired up. The promoters want to see what it'd be like to put two power men together. Both of them, tremendous thickness, strength, leg size on these young men.
Yeah, I don't think that speed is going to be one of the factors in this match. I think it's going to be strength versus strength. Something went wrong there, and Colt Steele showing his frustration, firing away on the back of the head of St. John.
Went for an arm drag and slipped right off. And of course, the momentum of St. John fell on top of Colt. Colt just got mad.
Yep, he got mad because he got hurt by it. It's that elbow to the face. Colt Steele. You know, you can always judge the ruggedness, the focused nature of an opponent by checking out his eyes. And if we ever get a close look at his eyes from one of our cameras at ringside, you will see this guy is focused. You will see those eyes pop up. I have referred him often as the eyes of Charles Manson. There you see him there. There you see those eyes there.
Very intense young man. Of course, Colt Steele more along the Clydesdale type. A lot of power. He's trying to do quick moves. Gotta stick to the Clydesdales, Colt.
This guy here, my friend, a powerful individual who can hurt you. A guy who loves to hurt people. Here, I'm surprised he's not been approached by the stud stable. There's a guy that would fit right in.
They got the ego.
He certainly does. Maybe there's no room. There's too much ego in that stud stable already.
Only so much room or something like that.
And you get a whole crew of guys that think that same way, and before long, there's a question as to who's the top dog, who's the top banana. Oh, Thomas St. John landing on that arm. Your referee for this event is Ron Hanna. You're watching South Atlantic Wrestling over most of these stations. Ted Webb and Gene Ligon at ringside. Well, we got to compliment our crew tonight. We've had some great camera angles.
I tell you, it takes a lot of guts to do some of things. Look at that move.
We've seen that one a couple of times before. And now he's going into that variation of, well, it's not a surfboard. Little surfboard. He's got him in that California surfboard. And this one is all over. The winner of this match using the California surfboard, Colt Steele. Colt Steele. Coach, let's take a look at that one in a slow motion instant replay. And it's a variation of a hold that Colt Steele is noted for using to win his matches. You describe the action.
Well, right here, you're seeing both left and right arm being pulled straight back. The deltoid region of the shoulder is being jerked completely out of joint. A lot of pressure on the chest and shoulder.
You stick around because we've got lots more coming up.
Making his way to the ring, weighing 235 pounds from Charlotte, North Carolina, here is Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. His opponent weighing in at 228 pounds from Columbus, Georgia, here is Greg Brown.
Collar and elbow in the middle of the ring. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Greg Brown. And Brown taunting him. Hey, Greg, this could be a mistake, my friend.
Well, Greg hadn't been around a long time, I don't believe.
Not if he's taunting Ricky the Dragon Steamboat like that. Powerful guy, though. I got to hand it to him.
Good size on him. Tremendous athletic background. Good takeover, but a headlock.
Ricky reverses that nicely, going for the pin. Sal Correnti counting for two. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, one of the fan favorites on the Atlantic Seaboard. He's a man that put the Atlantic Seaboard on the map.
Greg Brown is showing me something here. This man has been around some time. I've not seen too much around this area. But Ricky the Dragon Steamboat has definitely got a match on his hands. Greg Brown, a very tough competitor, as you see, using all the tools of the ring.
You know, it wouldn't surprise me if Ricky the Dragon Steamboat right now is not fully concentrating on what's happening in the ring and perhaps keeping an eye out on what may be happening outside the ring after what happened here on South Atlantic Wrestling last week when he came to the aid of Gary Booth, who had been really mutilated by Robert Fuller. And then the next thing you know, the Swarm was on. He was in the ring with Maniac Matt Bourne, the Nasty Boys, and Fuller. All four of them attacking him. And had it not been for Paul Jones, who darted into ringside, and the Bulldogs and Chris Sheamus, Ricky the Dragon may not be wrestling today.
That's right. Paul Jones is right there on the spot. And, of course, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat now in the ring. A little probably worse for wear because you're thinking about the man on the outside of the ring. It will mess up your whole game plan.
You are right about that, Coach. Ted Webb and Gene Ligon, South Atlantic Wrestling, the best of the North American Wrestling Association. Here is the #1 rated challenger for that North American Wrestling Association Heavyweight Championship, currently owned by Robert Fuller, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Ricky, who operates the Steamboat Gym in Charlotte, North Carolina, in tremendous physical condition. Former Mr. North Carolina.
An excellent gym. He's got a complete gym up there. If you're looking to bodybuild and get in good shape and everything, and look the best you can, and also improve your athletic ability, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's Gym in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Here's another guy that mixes the best of two definite styles, the Oriental martial arts, as well as the American catch-as-catch-can.
Well, this guy's an athlete. He's not just a wrestler. He can do it all. He can play football. He can play baseball.
You got to think that he did this on the cliffs up in Hawaii sometime years ago. Boom. Tomahawk chop from the top rope. Hooks the leg. Greg Brown is history. This match belongs to Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Gene Ligon, why don't we take a look at that one right now in our slow motion instant replay. And you describe the action as you see it, my friend, as the Dragon registers another win.
Here we go. Ricky high off the top, a big pop on top of the head with that chop. Hooks the leg, pulls it up, a 1, 2, 3 count. We're back to you, Ted. Take it away.
Well, I tell you what, we have with us right now Paul Jones, who has just just joined us right now at ringside, as well as Ricky. Can we get Ricky the Dragon Steamboat to come out here? Gentlemen, it's getting hot and heavy. The competition is getting furious. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of people I talk to that are very happy that the bond has been reformed between the two of you.
Well, that's right. You know, we don't need to call ourselves Stud Stable or Studs Militia. We don't need any kind of false hype. What we need and what we got here between Ricky and myself and Vince Torelli and War Eagle Chris Chavis is we got something thicker than a militia. We have friendship. People that stand behind each other. You mess with one, you mess with four. Even if we travel alone, the devil's going to pay its due. And that's what we call the Fuller Stable. Let me tell you something right now. Steamboat and I have formed a bond. Any place, anywhere. Yeah. Stud, you bring your army. We're going to be there. We're not backing down. You don't like the rules? Well, against you, we don't like the rules, right? That's right. You know something, Paul Jones? We can get up here and we can talk a pretty tough fight when we stand with our numbers. That's right. Do you think for 1 minute that you got Maniac Matt Bourne is really going to trust Robert Fuller? Do you think the Nasty Boys really trust themselves? Heck no. But what we got here, we know we can watch each other's back. And somewhere, somehow, down the road, in this Coliseum and all up around the country, you guys will meet your end. You've got some dudes coming your way, and you're going to have to eat them, and we're going to just shove them down your throat and keep shoving them down your throat. Fuller, you, as a matter of fact, make the poorest example of a champion I've ever seen in the 14 years of my career.
Well, let me tell you something. The Stud Stable, you got one thing coming here. You got a four-pack here. Anytime you guys want to step in, you're stepping in with people that are backing each other up. So you bring anything you've got, and come on.
On
We
behalf.
build our house on cement, not sand. So Stud, bring it on, Stud Stable.
We'll see you next week.